Dropped.
I know.
Are you live?
No.
Okay. I'm live on the YouTube. A little dancing for the YouTubers.
Go ahead and start.
You think? You
Yeah,
be
start
ready?
the music. Yeah.
All right.
The Wade and Carter Show is a paid programming, and KHMC Magic 95 assumes no responsibility for its content, and the Wade and Carter Show bears no responsibility.
Election result questions in New York City, Astros struggle, all that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
75 to 83 today.
Now, before we do this, let's go around. Rule number 1: no touching of the hair or face. Of course. I got that. Now let's do this.
Yep.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
How are you this morning?
Wonderful.
Good. I'm glad.
Very good morning.
I had a good visit with the folks down at Deerland Feed Store yesterday.
Cleavon Little just interrupted you as you were trying to talk about your conversation with the folks at Deerland.
I had a good visit with the folks at Deerland yesterday. Met Michelle. Asked her if she listens to the show. She said she's listened one time. We ruined her.
That's all it took.
That's all it took.
You listen once, you're out. Not hooked, you're out.
No, her decision.
There you go. But that doesn't stop us from telling you
No.
that Deerland Feed brings you the Wade and Carter weather. 73 degrees in Victoria right now, heading to a high of 88. And it's going to rain all afternoon.
Yeah, good
That's the
chance.
deal. Good chance.
Just, of course, because the Generals are back in town
Sure.
after a lengthy road trip in for 2 games today and tomorrow. Then I think they hit the road for the July 4th weekend. So,
I got a little taste of your booth yesterday.
did you?
It's fun. I did a game.
It's as fun as you make it.
Yeah, Industrial played Ganado in the rubber match of a Little League All-Star game, and it's fun to. So what I told him I wanted to know, full names. I wanted to be able to say number 5. Luke Reed, or
Yeah.
2. Actually, Luke was number 2, but to know
Number
where
27, Jose Altuve.
to know where they were playing. You get the scratch sheet that they give the official, and that's no good. It's you need a full roster that has a name, phone number, name, jersey number, and you need to know where they're playing. But it's fun when a kid comes up and you say, now batting the catcher, number 30, it was fun. I had a real good experience doing it. Do you have any idea what you're doing over there? Oh, there you go. Well, that worked. Whatever you did. He's dropping the video. Nobody really knows. He's doing Ash things. I apologize.
Went too much headroom.
Max headroom. But it was fun. Now, when you do the Generals games, I know you've got a script. You've got a lot of sponsors you have to mention. What do you do with the players? Like, do you announce them by number 7, the shortstop?
I starting lineups, yes, number and position and name, and then after that, I kind of mix it up. Sometimes it's the number, sometimes it's the position.
Well, it was
I assume most people there can read,
right?
So the number is somewhat redundant.
I did introduce both teams, have them come out, and then we did. Of course, you have to do the Little League prayer. Then I had to whip out the iPhone to play the national anthem.
Okay.
So it all sounds great down below, but up above, there's a lot of moving parts.
There are.
TLAC came, sat with me, and we had a picnic. We did no kidding. We did a panini from the health bar.
Nice.
It was great. Great time.
How hot was it in there?
Not bad. The AC was on. Now, when you open the window,
you're just blowing the AC
you
out
got
the
to
window.
open the window.
But you have to, otherwise you can't hear nothing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. That ballpark is fantastic. Folks, even if you don't like baseball, you should appreciate the great asset that Victoria has by having Riverside Stadium. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful park. And I would totally be a proponent of a slight tax increase to redo the press box to include a restroom.
Yeah, I think the problem there is if you touch that press box, you have to put in an elevator.
Yeah, and I think we could probably get some kind of a city abatement from that.
Scott Tomp goes in. Good morning to you, sir. Lisa Poole checking in. Judge Posey.
Good morning, Judge. You know, a lot of that, Ash, is you're saying if you do anything to it, you have to bring it up to code. I mean, I don't think a press box at a small ballpark has to be ADA compliant. I think you just say,
It's
you know
based on
what?
square footage.
Is that right?
And I don't know what that total is.
I just don't think you quadruple the cost of the whole
Oh,
project.
absolutely.
It's just dumb.
Scott Snow, good morning. Gil Garcia's in. Bob Watley, Jeremy Pena checking in. H.R. Mallory, Jared Glass, Diane Tippett, Michelle Hawkins,
But you could have a bathroom and an elevator.
Rena Scherer, Peter McNally.
Sound is weak.
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
sure
not
it's
sure.
not the content?
Could very well be the content.
That your connection's good there?
Yep, we're in there.
I do not know.
I don't know either. Michelle Hall checking in.
Good morning,
Mark
Michelle.
Kurt says you were great last night
Oh, it was fun. Thank you, Mark.
and helped make it a great experience for
What?
nothing.
What? I hope I get a great experience
Experience for the boys. Yeah. My mind was going somewhere else. You were great last night. Kind of stopped it right there.
Right.
I should have read on.
Something I never hear.
Exactly. Words Brent has never heard
Was that-
before now. You were great last night.
Or again.
Oh, you made it a great experience.
I'll take that heat. I'll take that heat.
Keno Sexton is in. Good morning to you, sir. Amanda Smith King, Jennifer Rayburn.
Hey, good morning.
Can't read this
Jennifer.
morning. Johnny Hodden, good morning to you. Gil Garcia. What did Gil say there? Chad Hall's in.
Don't forget something he said.
Stupid.
Yeah,
It's driving me nuts.
I think that Facebook tries to make it difficult for
they
us.
do.
I really do. I'm fairly confident.
Yeah.
Don't. What did you say?
I don't know, because that new comment pops up, and then I can't get, by the time I scroll back up, it's covered up.
It's okay. We'll be all right.
I think we will. Don't forget the walk-up music.
Nah, exactly. No, we don't do that in Little League. I mean, I can't break out the Magic Mike
No.
theme song for the 9-year-old.
Christina Wise in. Tom Bryce. Good morning, everybody. Glad you're all with us this morning.
So real quick this morning, as your conscience leads you, no pressure here from the staff, but if you've early voting ended yesterday. If you've voted and
Or
if
if
you're
you're going to vote, we
Yeah.
can do the unofficial Wade and Carter.
that's what we're thinking about doing
Election
is
poll.
the unofficial Wade and Carter election poll.
Call us. We don't want you to put it out on.
And we don't have to put
Facebook.
your name on. You can just call and say, I voted for so and so for mayor and so for district, precinct or district 3. And we'll just
And
keep
we'll do a
keep a tally. That'd be great.
So
You
give
wanna-
us a call.
you wanna
Yeah, I
do
want to
something?
give this a plug. We're Victoria County Veterans Council, a local organization sponsoring the 4th of July Veterans Appreciation Picnic for all veterans and their families. That'll be at Patriot Park from 4 to 7 on July 4th, Sunday.
Man, free food and drinks, live band, games, chairs, blankets, and fireworks.
So head on out on Independence Day. Celebrate Independence Day. Cool.
Fantastic.
It'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to this weekend. Looks like all our county commissioners and County Judge Ben Zeller are all sponsoring
Yep.
this
And
event. So,
as is Jessica Martinez of Humana and Kimberly McDaniel of PAM, the specialty hospital. Fantastic.
nice. So there you go. Something to do on Independence Day if you've got no plans.
Well,
And then I think the city's got their big fireworks display at the community center Saturday evening.
that's where Brother Gary will be.
Brother Gary will be all of them.
He needs the Gary chopper.
The Gary Mobile.
Yeah, he
the
needs
Bro Mobile.
He needs a helicopter.
Like the Pope Mobile.
The Bro Mobile.
I think it's got. And put a little mustache and glasses on the
That's got
on the
legs.
front end. I think so.
That's got legs.
I think it does. I'm surprised nobody's ever come up with that before.
Real quick while he digs, Allen's Record Service. Saw Allen's on the side of the road yesterday. Like, when you're not thinking about it, I'm between Refugio and I'm really between
Woodsboro and
and
Refugio?
and like Sinton. And out there in the middle of nowhere, Allen's was pulling a F-150 back up onto the highway. The roads got a little wet, and his tires were a little slick, and the next thing you know, you're calling 578-6300. The VCS companies, the Hartman family, very, very busy this time of year. Surveillance, suppression, security. They do it all, surround sound, all the S's. Reach out to the VCS companies for all your communication needs, especially if you're a first responder. Get over and get hooked up with FirstNet. Chesnick Furniture, 70 years in their current new location, still selling furniture, one family at a time. Chesnick and Love make your house a home, and you just do better at Chesnick. That's 116 West Juan Lynn, the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. Go by and see Bobby Leon. Tell him that Wade and Carter sent you, and you'll immediately be family. And they will deliver your furniture the day you buy it.
No down payment, no interest as well for, I think, at least a year.
That's fantastic. Helping you get what you want. And then Veracruz is what you want. Today, Caldo Wednesday. Be sure and go by Veracruz today for lunch. Earlier is better. Say, around the 11:30 hour, get in there, because I'm telling you, by 12:30, the Caldo's gone.
Yeah, if you wait till 12:30, 12:45 for
Gone.
lunch, you're not getting the Caldo.
No,
Gone.
no, there's plenty of other great fare to have there. I got a call from Ricky De La Garza yesterday saying that he had a Wade and Carter Compuesta, which is fantastic. And he said it was awesome. Told him I wanted the Wade and Carter. So get in there, get into Veracruz today, and enjoy the Caldo.
Larry Schilling checking in. Good morning to you, Larry.
Not Kurt Schilling, his older brother.
Older brother. Not quite as accomplished a pitcher.
Right. Kurt Schilling, Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I could make that argument.
Okay.
Not a Hall of Fame effort last night by the Astros. Astros had a rundown early, and Altuve just kind of.
Yeah.
You see that one?
Yeah. Yeah. He kind of dropped it.
They lose 13-3 to the Orioles. Struggling now against teams you should be beating. If you want some separation between you and the A's, these are the games you have to win.
They're layups. You're at home.
Can't be losing to a team that's 15, 20 games below 500.
Right. Now, it is baseball. And if you're winning at a 70% clip, you're doing very well. And they're doing that over the last 20. They've won 14 of their last 20. But
losing to the Orioles?
You can't lose to the bad teams.
No, they're almost 30 games, but they're 28 games below 500.
Yeah, the Orioles are terrible. They're in a rebuilding mode.
Yeah. They have been since Earl Weaver, I think.
Reevaluating mode.
But
as long as they've got Robinson at third, they'll be okay.
Palmer on the mound.
He can anchor. He can anchor that.
Freddie Lynn in center.
That was the Red Sox, wasn't it?
I thought he finished up in Baltimore.
By the time he got there, he wasn't the rookie of the year.
No, not anymore. But Astros have had injuries in positional players, right?
Yes.
Bregman probably the biggest name that's been out. But now yesterday's game, Jose Urquidy, the pitcher, goes out in the second inning. Felt something in his shoulder, called the trainers out. His day was done. The bullpen's already kind of been overused a little bit.
Yeah, but Urquidy's been nails.
Yeah,
I loved
I
it.
know.
Saw a graphic the other night that the Astros had used the third fewest lineups of any major league team. Now think about this. They've played 65 games? They've used 59 different lineups. Now the pitcher just counts as one position. They're not talking about changing the pitcher.
Players, though.
Players they've used 59, whether you got Toro, Straw, Tucker, where they are, Brantley, Alvarez, Chip McCormick. Most of the mix-up has been in the outfield except for injuries.
Yeah.
But I found that interesting that they basically used a lineup a game, and they were the third fewest in baseball. So a lot of teams are making a lot of substitutions during the game.
Absolutely. So Mariners reliever Hector Santiago gets suspended for 10 games. I think he's going to appeal it so he can play. This is the guy he's the first one to get caught using the sticky substance.
So did he do something or not? Or
I don't know, because didn't he get lit up didn't he get lit up that game? Like 5 hits and a bunch of runs in like
Yeah.
a short amount of time.
The other day they checked a Cubs player coming in, like the second baseman, wasn't Ryan Sandberg, but they checked the second baseman's glove. Think about it now.
Mark Grace.
You get a ball first. You get a ball in play. You throw it around the infield. Second baseman puts a little slime on it, and then when the pitcher rubs it down, he's got that grip.
Yeah,
And he can say, "I didn't put it on there. It's not on my glove. I don't know how it got on there.
just was there, so I used it.
Must have come off that bat."
So he's
Interesting.
apparently he's going to appeal the 10-game suspension.
Price of baseballs is about to go up because what they're going to do is start throwing the baseball out after every pitch. 200 balls a night,
Probably easily.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to start doing something where
Yeah.
every time the ball is put in play, it's going to be removed.
But it's been. I mean, it disrupts the game.
Yeah, they do everything they can to speed the game up, and then they slow it down with monotonous inspections.
I mean, I'm
of
surprised they're
players.
not calling out getting the CSI van out there and guys in the white suits and they're dusting everything down. It just, I mean, it's getting a little ridiculous.
Yep. What? Let's see what we got here.
And then Mississippi State hammered Vanderbilt yesterday. I turned it off. It was 8-1. Final score 13-2. So that forces a third game. What do you think?
Well,
Vandy or Mississippi State now?
No,
all
no, I think-
marbles. One game, all marbles.
I think Mississippi State. I had told you the other night that I wasn't surprised that Vandy. I said Vandy would win the first game because Mississippi State was tired, giving them time to catch up. Momentum has been with Mississippi State. They've never won the College World Series, and I think this is their year. Vanderbilt has a great program, but there's also a little karma there. That did they really deserve it with NC State being banished because of the COVID scare? This is the crazy, wild, wild world of sports.
Yeah.
So they're saying did Kenneth Sexton say that
He said, why can't they just get it that pitchers are getting better and better?
Well, I think they are, but I do think that some have probably gained a little benefit. I mean, if I was sitting on the bench and Justin Verlander said, "Hey, look, when you walk out, drag your hand across that rail right there, and there's a little
Something
stickum there. Just a little stickum that's going to help tighten up that slider." I mean, I'd be tempted to drag my hand. Oh no, I couldn't do that. It's baseball.
Well, I mean, think about all the ways. I mean, catcher hits his buckle on the shin pad, throwing the ball back to the pitcher, to get a little scuff on there.
Sure.
I mean, there's all sorts
All
of ways
sorts of stuff.
that these things have gone on for.
I
Years,
guarantee you that even though he would never admit that it's
I
happening,
believe the
Terry-
fifth is a former catcher.
right, Terry Poole could tell you all kinds of things.
So, yeah, I'm sure.
So Joe Biden apparently was at the game. Jonathan Williams says Joe Biden was at the game last night and the Astros stunk it up. Well, they just wanted her to feel at home with the Biden administration.
Laying an
Yeah.
egg.
How about Sheriff Louderback yesterday just very casually saying, "Look, we're dealing with a gentleman that's mentally impaired."
Yeah.
He was not judgmental. He wasn't mean-spirited. He just said, the man's clearly
Clearly.
compromised. Nobody has called us yet to just say,
No.
you can just call me and say,
You don't have to give us your name. We're just going to do an unofficial
Yeah.
Wayne Carter election poll, kind of see where the city's leaning as we head into election day on Saturday.
575-9509.
If you voted, tell us who you voted for. If you haven't voted, you can tell us who you will vote for.
Yeah.
Just trying to-
We won't call you out. We won't mention your name unless you want to talk about it.
Speaking of or there's that. You can call and say, why did you vote for somebody or not? Speaking of elections, you see the flap in New York City?
I did. Tell me.
They're running. Well, I was hoping you would tell me since you saw it because I don't know. What
Well,
you're
you were
talking about.
telling
No,
me
I'm
there were
just kidding.
tons of votes that,
Yeah, like Eric Adams, who is former police officer. I think he was former president of the Brooklyn Borough or something along those lines. Oh, there we got a call.
There we got a
There we
call.
go. It's all it took. Start talking New York City.
Good morning, caller. Who'd you vote for? Bach Knight for mayor. What are you not in District 3? Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks for the call.
Thank you. See, it's that easy.
It's that easy. We're just trying to do a poll.
Yeah. James Kerr says vote for Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro was
Nice one.
great.
Anybody even get that reference anymore?
Oh, it was a great movie.
But it's good. It had moments, but that wasn't as great.
Did
says
that
it
guy
was.
go on and do the other
He's done a lot of
films?
stuff. Yeah, I don't know about Pedro, the guy that played Pedro, but John
Yeah.
John Heater was his name.
Is that it?
The guy that played Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. And you don't recognize him because he doesn't look anything like he did in Napoleon Dynamite. But
He can't be good looking though.
yeah, he's not as ugly as he was in that movie. That's for sure. Nobody's really ugly in Hollywood.
Right. No, that's true.
I mean, Steve Buscemi, Marty
He
Feldman,
was a fireman.
a couple others.
Yeah, there's a handful of those guys that make. I mean, to a degree, except
Yeah.
that he was a fantastic actor. Gene Wilder.
Danny Trejo, isn't that the guy's name? He's kind of,
Yeah,
but yeah.
he's good at playing a
But
heavy.
well, but that's just it. They have their roles, and that's why they get cast that way because they look a certain way.
Yeah.
But getting back to New York City, so the election was June 22nd. Primaries, and this is the Democratic primary, folks. So you can connect the dots however you want here, right? Yesterday, the Board of Elections in New York City failed to certify the results because there's some discrepancy in the number of votes that may have been cast, were cast, how votes got counted that maybe shouldn't have been counted. We're talking 130 some odd thousand votes that came into question by Eric Adams because basically, I'll sum it up and paraphrase here. When he went to bed, he had 100 and some odd thousand vote lead. When he wakes up the next morning, his lead's down to 16,000 votes. And the Board of Elections isn't going to certify that. Does this sound familiar to anybody?
Purely a coincidence. There is no widespread voter fraud.
No.
There is no border crisis, and it's perfectly okay to allow Iran to have nuclear stuff while we're shooting.
We're
missiles
going to
at
get into that too this morning. But so the Board of Elections won't certify because of the discrepancy. Now they're saying, well, the test votes weren't cleared from the system. So if they weren't cleared from that system, how many test votes were counted going back to November? Just throwing that out there as a possible idea.
Yeah, if it's 100,000 and change in New York, well, what would stop it from being a couple of million somewhere?
How many test votes?
T-Lat says interesting because she's been keeping up with this. H.R. Mallory says Napoleon Dynamite was a terrible movie. It really kind of was. But vote for Pedro is cool.
But let's connect the dots here. Democrat Party.
No.
Votes counted that shouldn't have been counted. Election integrity in question. Election results in question.
See, the problem we've got in this country is like good, well-meaning folks like Pete McNally identify more as Democrats than Republicans. Okay, all of that is fine. The problem is the Democrat Party no longer represents people like Pete McNally. It's no longer about, it is about creating a reliance upon the government solving all your problems, and the Democrat Party of today is about taking over and squashing our democracy. They want a socialist republic. So guys like Pete, who are good, well-meaning people, defend them because, well, I've never been a Republican and I would never be a Republican. But the Democratic Party that they believe in is no longer in existence. And that's a problem.
James Kerr says OBJ started it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
probably
see
did.
that.
Well, it's been going on. I think you probably trace it back to Joseph Kennedy and a few others. But
Yeah.
I think it's more than that. I think the racist Democrat Party that exists does not want a black former cop as the mayor or as their candidate in New York City because it goes against everything they want. They want to defund the police in New York City. You've got high crime. You've got a guy that helped the transformation of Brooklyn. Brooklyn was a piece of crap.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's the cool place to be because Manhattan is just ridiculously expensive and starting to see some crime. So in the last 10 plus years, Brooklyn has become a pretty cool place to go. You know, they had to rebuild after the Dodgers left, but
Well, and think about it, though. That's why the Brooklyn Nets sold for such a huge amount, and some of the great players are wanting to go there. I mean, I think it's a big deal.
crappy place to watch a hockey game. That arena sucks, but yeah, there's
That's
no
a
point there
side
anymore,
note.
but that's
Was there a
side
game
note.
last night?
No, tonight, Montreal and Tampa, game 2
Still.
in Tampa. But I think that's part of it. They don't want somebody who's going to fund the police and is obviously pro law enforcement.
Yeah, he's a former officer. So
Instead, you've got the problems that New York has had. And on the Republican side, Curtis Silva, I think, or Silva, I'm not exactly sure, Silwa. You may remember the name. This is the guy that when things were going bad for former Mayor Ed Koch back in the late 80s, early 90s, and there was so much violence on the subway system, so much violence in the streets. He's the guy that formed the Guardian Angels or helped found the Guardian Angels. He is the Republican candidate. So if you're going to have a guy who's obviously pro law enforcement, pro rule of order and law,
probably
Democrats can't run somebody like that.
Well, he's probably been labeled as a white supremacist.
Probably.
Matt Boucher says, "Hey, be objective. Don't identify necessarily. Be independent. Don't identify with either party. Be informed and most importantly, vote."
I thought it was interesting, given that our mayoral election is not affiliated with party primaries, that the one in New York City is.
So many people, I think they almost have to make them partisan. In theory, our position here for mayor is not a partisan position.
More people are asking that question though this time around. I've noticed.
Yeah,
I want to know the party affiliations of those, and those that are.
What do we know? Would you say Bachnight and Crook are Republican and Emmett is a Democrat?
I would say so.
I
don't know enough. David Crook didn't say anything here. I know he's gone to a couple of Republican Party meetings. He might have gone to some Democrat Party meetings too.
I think he said that he was Republican and that he felt that Bachnight basically was a libertarian, which I said is just a Republican who can think.
So yeah, 575-9509 if you want to. That might have been me.
If you want to
pounding my hand a little bit. If you want to chime in and weigh in on any of the subjects we're talking about, or take part in the Wade and Carter election poll.
Let me give you 5 real quick that you'll all vote for. Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com. Since 1926, Atzenhofer is Victoria's dealership. Whether you need a new Chevy, Mazda, Cadillac, Mitsubishi, or one of their beautiful pre-owned vehicles, they're all over the lot over here on the Navarro Motor Mile, right down the road from Higher Prices, where they're stacked deep
and selling them cheap.
That's right. Reach out to Atzenhofer. Shop today online, Atzenhofer.com. If you need an oil change, no matter your make or model, they'll do the service. They'll paint anything you put in there, Grandma. Just get her in there for a little filler in those wrinkles and lube her up.
There she goes.
There you go. And they call that Grandma rejuvenation. Then, of course, you've got the inspection services, and they sell tires. They do it all. Get to Atzenhofer today. White Trash Services, 550-1826.
Got to go. Trash collection needs.
You'll have a trash-tastic day. If you reach out, you'll talk to a human being, and you'll be glad that BJ Nelson, Scott Nelson, and their team are there for you. All the way up to and including a huge roll-off dumpster for a big project. They also do weekly trash service all throughout the 7 counties, Rockport, Fulton Beach, Lake Tahoe, and Las Vegas. And then Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull, JP and his team, it's a lot bigger. JP's the tip of the iceberg. Donato, he's the needle. He's the guy.
And the interesting thing there is he's not bound by counties and county lines. He does work all across the country, all around the world.
And he's done work for counties and works for Fortune 100 companies, big companies.
But he'll work for you, just as importantly, he'll work for you as well.
He likes living here, and he has teams all over the country, Nashville, Houston, they're everywhere. And they've worked for bigger companies than yours, I promise. But if you need help with encryption, data retention, if you need to build a website presence.
Making sense of all your data that you've collected?
Your analytics, combine your Facebook with your website so that you can collect money and it goes directly into QuickBooks. That's what they do. Reach out to him. The law offices of Steve Kidder are there to help you stay out of court. Nobody wins when you go to court but the lawyers. Let Steve Kidder help you stay out of court. You got a problem, you got an opportunity, you want to adopt a baby, you want to get a will or a trust put into place for your family. You have a contract you want reviewed. He's very reasonable. He's very fair, and he's very knowledgeable. Thank you. Whatever you did there, I feel good.
You
And then, of course, Complete 360. We said it last night.
were there last night, yeah.
I had a picnic with TLAT in the press box at Riverside Stadium. Now, I will tell you,
What'd you have? What did you order?
I had the adobo
turkey?
turkey on a panini, and it was great. It was still hot. They write a little note inside the container, you know. It was wonderful. No, it was
What'd your
great.
note say?
My note said, "You're not."
So memorable.
Something like you're not a bad guy. You're just hard to manage. Something like that. It was very
Spot on.
apropos. Yeah. I did try to talk T-Lad into a little chicanery in the press box.
She was having none of it.
She absolutely. But I was like, hey, you think anybody's ever, she's like, what? I'm like, forget it.
Won't be tonight either.
Right. With my luck, my elbow would hit the microphone, but
Something, yeah.
it's cool because there's like a little button you push. The microphone's not just on. You don't just babble. You have to push it and say something with purpose.
Yeah. Terry Murray, good morning. So Stanley Cup update, hockey half minute.
Go.
Montreal, Tampa Bay tonight, game 2.
Both teams traveled yesterday. One stayed at a Holiday Inn Express.
Tampa Bay leads at 1-0. I'm not sure this one goes more than 5 anymore. I think Tampa Bay goes to Montreal up 2-0. They'll win tonight. Might be a little closer, but I still
What was it, 5-1?
5-1. I think this might be about a 3-1 win.
Wow.
Jennifer Rayburn says no canoodling in the press box.
Right? That's what Dawn said.
It's not what Brent said, but that's what Dawn said.
I'm just the visual is just so funny of the umpire looking up and then seeing Dawn. Be funny.
I don't know.
Could get you arrested.
Yeah. Zach Smith says General's back home tonight. Yep. Already talked about that. 7:05 tonight.
I think Zach Smith might be like the biggest
He might
Generals
be.
fan.
He might be.
Get him like a little leprechaun suit. He could look like that Notre Dame guy.
No, you know what he needs? He needs like a little. He needs to look like the General.
Right, with the green helmet.
Yeah, with
that
Shaq.
would be good. That would be good.
Yeah. So, how does our president manage to bomb the heck out of Iran in one instance, or
Right.
Iranian-backed and led insurgents? Yet on the flip side, argue that Iranians can be trusted with a nuclear program to do the right thing.
Because the left is always most easily spotted by their hypocrisy. Like we talked about, nothing disrupts their nuclear program because, as we brought up on Monday, the bombing in Iran of Syrian-held interest was all a ruse. It was all done for publicity. More people died in the Miami condo building collapse than died in that missile strike in Iran.
Oh, absolutely.
And which, by the way, that's a tragedy. I feel terrible for those folks. The building collapsed. Was it you that told me that there's a sister building that inspectors have said have the exact same issues? And most people say, nah, we're not leaving. These are dumb people.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It wasn't me that told you that. That one had apparently a beam broke and it fell into the parking structure underneath, and that's what led to the collapse. It was
Callie Fromme,
the video was chilling. I mean, it almost looked like it was a demolition.
Yeah, which is scary because then you got to wonder who's in there, who benefits. Why would somebody want that building down? Yeah. Out of the mayoral candidates, Jeff Botnight was the only one to turn in the most recent. Okay, can you help me read that?
Yeah,
maybe read it on your phone. The most recent financial report on time. The link to see these reports is on The Advocate. Yeah, it's interesting. Those things are, I mean, I've done them. it's kind of a pain in the rear. And to be honest, if
Well, I think David Kirk here said he didn't raise any money. So if you,
you
don't
still
ra-
have to turn in a
do you?
report.
Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't
you
know.
still
That
have
was
to turn in a
going to be
report.
my question.
And Emmett's probably just bucking the system. Emmett, I know you're listening. If you have a response, feel free to give us a call, 575-9509.
Yeah.
I know it's a pain to have to turn that form in, and I'm not surprised Jeff did it on time. He's been doing it for years, so it's kind of it's maybe worth noting, but it's not a big deal.
575-9509 if you want to. So far, one person has called in and said they voted for Jeff Bachnight. If you
Right
want to
now, Bachknight's winning 1-0.
Cali Farm says it's also on the county elections page as well. If you wanted
There you go.
a link from a.
There's a lot of data online. You can get it. Yeah. If you want to find out.
Or James Kerr says it's there. I think he was responding to Cali. So there you go.
James Kerr.
Jennifer Rayburn says about 3,600 total turnout. No separate reporting for citywide versus district in the early voting. It seems like a pretty good early voting number for a special election for mayor and one city council race, but I don't know. I'm still, it amazes, and I'm going to guess maybe that same number turns up on Saturday.
Well,
But when you don't even get 10% of your population out to vote for mayor, that's sad, folks.
If 3,600 people turned out to vote early, if 3,000 of them were from the north side of town, that really favors Bachknight. I mean, because that's, those are folks that have trusted him
pretty
for a
much.
while. Now, if and I use the term generically, if the south side, as opposed to the north where Bachknight lives, if the south side turns out heavy, that may favor one of the other candidates or make it a wash. It'll be interesting to see what the numbers are.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see I think we're going to see a runoff
I agree.
for City Council District 3.
I do too.
And I don't think we're going to see one for the mayoral race.
No, I would think that'll be, it either will be or won't be. I think that'll get decided pretty quick.
Yeah. So 575-9509 if you want to weigh in on the unofficial poll.
Yeah, if you want to tell us.
You don't have to tell us who
You
you
don't
are.
have to tell us who you are.
No. So what do you make of the flap of this Gwen Berry? We didn't talk
Look at
about
my
it.
sweet wife.
Yeah.
Brent turned his in on time when he was running. That's true. I mean, it's a responsibility. I'll admit that I turned him in on time. I was always.
Well, you had so much practice and interaction with the elections commission or whatever they call it, because your good friend Clara Ramos kept turning you in.
That nut job broad. She would call up there and she would call the state and accuse me of doing some kind of elections violation. She's incompetent as a goat, and would call up there. And so the attorney would call me and go, "Hey, Mr. Carter," and I'd talk to him and we just laugh. Yeah, we hear from her pretty often. I said, yeah, she tries to stir it up with just complete ignorance. Beautiful. Yeah. By the way, just so you know, I mean, and I don't know how he tolerates it, because he's a smart guy, but she's a huge supporter of Emmett Alvarez, and she's just as dumb as a rock. So, hello, caller. You're on the air with Wade and Carter. Oh, good. Okay, there you go. So you're not in the District 3? Okay. Do you want to talk about it, or do you just want to give us a vote? Hey, we appreciate it. Have a great weekend. So that's in our unofficial poll now. That's 2-0 for Bachknight. And if anybody wants to call and just tell us, if you intend to vote, feel free to say, I'm going to vote for so-and-so, or I'm. No way. Jennifer Rayburn says Clara Ramos is Emmett's campaign treasurer. Well, that explains why the paperwork didn't get turned in on time. My goodness gracious. Employ the special.
So where was I going? Gwen Berry. She made a flap over the weekend or earlier this week, maybe Sunday night.
She finished third in
U.S.
the
Olympic
trials.
Track and Field trials. And
leave her home.
Every day they were playing the national anthem about 5:20. And for whatever reason on that day, the national anthem got played a little bit late, like 5 minutes, like 5:25, right?
Yeah.
And it just so happened that the hammer throw contestants were on the podium getting their medals, first, second, third. She finished third. First of all, I have a real problem if we're sending our third finisher to the Olympics, and very well, I mean, her distance wasn't even close to first or second.
No, she was
She's a distant third in the U.S. How is that even, there's still a bunch of former East German women throwing hammers somewhere.
Right. She shouldn't travel.
She shouldn't be going. I don't believe a third place finisher, unless you're in the running, if your throw or your swim time or your run, whatever it is, gets you in a top 10 in the world, go. By all means, go. Or the Olympic, you know what I mean?
Sure.
There's no reason to send her to begin with. But she's trying to paint some big conspiracy that this was like all against her, that they purposely delayed the anthem because they knew she was going to be on the podium.
And because she's kind of an activist who doesn't believe in the anthem. It doesn't speak for her. It never has.
So she turned her back on the flag and the anthem as it was being played, and the flag as it was going up. If you're going to try to make a statement against an athlete, it's not going to be on the hammer throw. If you're an organizer, it was purely coincidental. Might have even been played maybe so that the announcement of the hammer throw medalists wasn't interrupted by the anthem. I mean, there might have been a little bit of that. Hey, the hammer throw is going to happen. Or we're going to announce, so let's just wait. Okay. There's no way it was planned for the hammer throw
to offend her. But it's just like you go back to one of, and I know this.
But things
go back to the Miracle on Ice, and the Kurt Russell plays the role of, who was the coach?
Herb Brooks.
Herb Brooks. I don't know Herb Brooks, but Herb Brooks was the Olympic coach, and he points to the young players and says, "The name on the front of your sweater is more important than the name on the back. And if you're not there to represent the United States, then stay home." I mean, no other country would allow her to even have that voice.
No other country, save for a few, would probably even give her the opportunity to pursue her dream as a hammer thrower. She's so oppressed in this country that she's been able to eke out an existence as a hammer thrower, finish third at the U.S. Olympic trials, is going to be paid for by largely government money probably to go to the Olympics in Tokyo. But things are so bad for her in this country that she feels she's got to turn her back on the flag and the anthem when she's standing on the podium. And don't get me wrong, she's all the right to do it.
Yeah, it's dumb. But she's not being very smart. But
there aren't many countries in the world where she would be allowed to pursue her dream of being a hammer thrower. So many more countries she could use her voice to actually fight against oppression that happens. If she would have been born in the Soviet Union, they would have chosen what, if any, profession she had. She might have had all the talent in the world as a hammer thrower, and they might have said, you're putting the shot.
Absolutely.
We don't care about the hammer throw. It's not what we want for you.
Well, I just think if you're going to be on the United States Olympic team, you're an ambassador for this country. That's what it's all about. It was all about athletes peacefully competing, no matter their politics. And for someone to make a political statement at that time, especially during the Olympic trials, when you're just a third place hammer thrower, go, guess what, Gwen? Go get your job back at Target. We don't need you. You're done.
Zach Smith says, God bless this country, shame on anyone who tries to deface it in the eyes of the world, on the Olympic stage.
By the way, the Olympics in Tokyo have a ban on political statements. You're not allowed to do it.
Yeah. What did Robert Morgan Ipling says? You knowingly sign up.
Well, she makes a good
your
living,
country.
believe it or not, throwing the hammer. That's what she does for a living.
Come in third and proceed to selfishly take attention away from those who. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Nobody knows the names of the ones that beat her.
That was Ricky Champagne King right there
Yeah.
telling you that.
and beat her handily
James Kerr said, I can't believe you didn't know this about.
about Clara.
Oh, I just,
Yeah.
yeah. It's inconsequential, but it's just funny that there's just people that have they have certain amounts of a voice that just have nothing to say.
Zach Smith says, what do you think Jesse Owens would say if he was alive? Well, I mean, he basically let his actions do the talking. He knew what was going on, despite, the New York Times and others way back then trying to hide the madness and the insanity and the horror of Hitler and Germany. Jesse Owens knew he wasn't going to be welcomed in Berlin
And just dominated the Nazis
and went over there and said, you know what, I'm just going to show them.
and just really dominated.
So, but I don't know. It's just we didn't really get into it with her until today. I mean, I didn't know if we should, but it came up in casual conversation yesterday.
Oh, it's no big deal.
So,
I mean, anybody that
Right.
knows that. I mean, I was attacked just with lies and just slanderous garbage by somebody that I didn't even know, who's just worthless.
so I wasn't talking about Claire. I was talking about Gwen Barry.
Oh,
but
okay,
either or.
yeah. Claire and Gwen, same person. I bet Claire could get third in that hammer throw. She's dumb as a hammer. Helps to have a radio.
Sometimes
Sometimes, folks. Terry Murray, Motto Mortgage.
I had a good visit with Terry yesterday, and just to give you an idea, she'll walk you through scenarios. She'll walk you through situations. She'll even give you options you may not think about, trying to help you better your mortgage situation.
541-5454. She told you a story.
Yeah,
Didn't she?
interesting story. One of our listeners went in and said, are these guys actually telling the truth? Could you get me cash out of my equity? Could you lower my rate? Could you lower my payment? Or are they just blowing smoke because you're paying them to talk about you? And she said, I did all three. And the customer was impressed. He goes, wow, these guys aren't just blowing smoke. No, we don't. We know these folks. We use them when we can.
Yeah,
We talk about them because we trust them and we know them.
absolutely. We could do like, see, Motto Mortgage, get cash now. Kind of like a little J.G. Wentworth deal. There you
I
go.
think so.
Make your home like a structured settlement.
So go see Terry. She will help you. She's like your personal shopper in the mortgage industry.
Reach out to Wint Services for generators, solar panels, general plumbing work, general electric work. If you have an emergency plumbing situation, think Wint. They've got a truck they can dispatch right here local.
Generac generators, all sorts of backup generators, because we're in the middle of
Cummins,
storm season.
Kohler, Briggs and Stratton,
We're a month into storm season.
natural gas, propane. They've got all diesel. They've got all the generators you need. USA Concrete Coatings, 578-HOME, HOME. Charlie Garcia and his team will come out, clean your garage floor, seal the cracks, and then put down a polyurethane coat that's tougher than any epoxy. Won't stick to your tires, won't peel, fade, crack
Nope. And they'll get it done, most cases, one day.
in
Or
one day.
less.
And then if you've got a big event coming up or a small event, you want to do a nice sales meeting, something to boost everyone's excitement about what you're selling, reach out to Cheryl at the Great Barn, 920-6803. Reach out to Cheryl and let her help you make your party memorable.
Check out our Facebook page, GRAY Barn, common spelling on barn.
Right?
Some people put the E in there on gray and then wonder why they can't find it. But check out the
What
portfolio.
is
on
the difference
Facebook.
between gray with an E and gray with an
I don't
A?
think anything other than preference, to be
Okay.
honest. Plus, somewhat named after our grandson, Graydon.
There you go.
So that's why. Somebody was saying, Sear, that they think that Gwen Barry was just was doing it for the money. Here's the problem with that. It's track and field, and America doesn't care about track and field. Unless you're a medalist.
Right.
And even then, medaling in the hammer throw, corporate America doesn't care about you.
You're not getting a Wheaties box.
No.
You're not Carl Lewis.
No, you're not a decathlete or somebody like that or a heptathlon competitor. Right. Her taking that stance it's to bring attention to herself, in my opinion, but there's no money involved. Because unless she gets the gold in Tokyo, there's not much way to monetize third place at the U.S. Olympic trials.
No, that's right. I think these people typically have sponsors and they do have money because
lot of
they
them do,
travel but yeah, third place in the hammer throw. Sorry, Gwen. It's not going to work.
No. So, oh man, lots more coming out on that. Just check the headlines on the Surfside debris. I think 12 victims have now been identified.
That's a very sad deal. You told me that building looked like it was demoed.
The video is kind of haunting. I mean, that's what it reminded me of, watching a building implode. It just kind of went straight down. Part of it was left standing. Still 150 people or so unaccounted for.
And they're dead.
Well, they don't know where they are. Some may have been out of the country.
Well, true.
But, or just not there. But yeah, what they're saying now is that, the ground level pool deck caved into the underground parking garage, and that's when everything happened. They did a 2018 structural survey, significant water damage in the concrete beneath the deck. And apparently residents were warned in April that the damage had grown worse and would require about $15 million in repairs. So that's going to be on the condo owner, probably each condo owner to pay up, right? The way these things are.
Which, by the way, might create motive for someone to implode the building.
Good point.
Just saying, kind of creates motive. Hey, we don't have that many millions to put into this, and we're fixing to have a vacant building. By the way, it's insured. I think there'll be more.
We told folks in April.
Yeah.
Here it is near the end of June.
Scott Tomko said Bruce Jenner became a household name, and look how that turned out. Kate.
Stuart Martin says when they win a medal, they have to pay the taxes. They have to pay for the taxes on them.
Right.
Well, it is an earning. And the price of gold these days. I'm not even sure Olympic organizers can pay for
they're not
completely
all
solid gold medals anymore.
Nah, they're not all gold.
They used to be, but not, I don't think anymore with the price of gold.
No.
575-9509. I cleared the phone lines.
Give us a voter update.
You want to weigh in on our voter poll?
Who are you going to vote for?
Who are you going to vote for? Who are you going to vote for mayor?
I'd love to hear from somebody on the north side who has a vote in the race to replace Jeff Balknight. Who do you trust with your part of the city up there? 575-9509. Gives me a chance to give a shout out to all of our friends in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, all over Saskatchewan.
Oh, that reminds me, the Stampede is going to go this year. Calgary Stampede, world's greatest outdoor show on earth.
Are you going?
Not this year.
Why don't you go? Go home.
They probably won't let me in the country, to be honest.
Probably wouldn't.
But one thing Calgary's become famous for is kind of like the Texas State Fair and some of the weird food offerings.
Right.
Maybe not so much all the deep fried fare that's at the Texas State Fair, because, Calgary's being a little bit healthier than
doubtful. They just don't have access to
Texas.
The oils.
Well, that's probably true. But here are some of the items on the menu this year. Tell me what you think of this.
Okay.
Peanut butter bacon burger.
Nope. Passing on that.
Rainbow grilled cheese sandwich. Looks like a grilled cheese with food coloring. Just does not appeal.
It's not pretty, but I bet it tastes good.
Probably tastes good, depending on the cheese. They use some Gruyere, something that melts good. Brie,
right.
Probably be good.
Right.
Flamin' Hot Cheeto mini donuts.
Gotta have them. Don't you have to have a Flamin' Hot Cheeto mini donut?
I don't know on this one. I'm not sure on this one, to be honest.
They deep fry ice cream at the State Fair of Texas. I don't know how they do that. It's got to be a
batter, roll it, and
flash
cornflakes maybe.
Right, something.
Drop it in real quick, and then. But here's one I would, and I think if you dropped a splash of,
it's gonna have booze in it.
No, not yet, but it could. I think you drop a little Cointreau in there, maybe some, maybe a nice tequila.
Right.
Pickle lemonade.
Pickle lemonade.
I'm thinking that's pickle juice and lemonade mixed together.
It might be pretty good with Tito's.
I'm thinking, sour.
The tequila could be
sour and more sour. So those are
lemonade.
A few of the fairs, a few of the things that'll be on the Midway this year. Offerings at the Calgary Stampede. If the rodeo doesn't get you there, those four might.
Go for the food. Stay for the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Tomko says, how about that record-breaking temperatures in Canada? Yeah, I don't ever want to hear a Canadian ever again complain about summer.
About summer.
I mean, it's hot. We used to just call it summer. Now the government gives heat warnings and freeze warnings, right? We used to just call that winter.
Right. It's kind of dumb to give a freeze warning in Canada when it's, it's always cold in Canada in the winter.
But I will say this: very few people up there have air conditioning because it runs 3 days a year.
Now, see, I didn't know that. I would have assumed. I think if it's always cool in the basement, right?
Not when it's 109 outside. It'll get a little warmer, but the basement's usually the place you used to go to cool off.
But it cools
On a
down at
hot
night.
summer day.
Most nights.
Most nights it cools off.
Wow.
Not right now when it's 109 during the day. It's not cooling
I
that
can't
much.
imagine.
Ceiling fans don't work. I've heard they're selling out of window units left and right up there. They just don't look good on your $1 million home, though.
Right.
That's just an average price.
Well, it's Canadian money. It's
Well, that's true.
$225,000 in Texas.
That's true.
It's a starter home, $1 million. That's okay. The government's going to give you $800,000 of it.
Yeah, let's see where they're going to in Calgary. 63 tonight in Calgary, so not bad. They're going to get to 97 for the high.
That's hot, man.
It's hot. It's hot.
That's hot. 97 degrees, Brother Gary.
It's a dry heat though. There's no humidity.
That's hot.
Folks, you'll want to stay tuned. You got the Hall of Famer Ralph
Trying to get-
Salazar,
Trying to see where else.
along with Brother Gary. It's dead top of the hour, 8 o'clock right now. We're going to get out of here, but I want to tell you,
Salmon Arm's going to get to 108 degrees.
they have a controversy-free show. This is just good, clean entertainment. Brother Gary Moses, Ash decided that you need a bro-mobile. Is what we're going to start calling your vehicle to get you around to all the events, because we know you're going to be out at the fireworks, the 4th of July deal. We know
Patriot
you'll be-
Park. You'll be
And we
there.
know you'll also be at the community center for the fireworks there.
Yes, sir. HEB's on Saturday too.
He'll be at HEB on Saturday as well.
Fireworks, Independence Parade.
Oh yeah, the parade that they do.
Kids,
Yeah, Stuart Martin says similar to how Northerners don't understand how we're not set up for the extreme cold. Yeah, that's exactly
That's a
it.
legit point.
They're not used to extreme heat. We're not used to extreme cold.
Yeah, it's craziness.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, folks. The Hall of Famer will be in here in a minute, along with Brother Gary Moses. We love you. We'll be
back
tomorrow. And
Tomorrow's Canada Day. We'll be celebrating.
and Brother Man will be here with some content. We love you. Talk to
He
you
better
tomorrow.
be here with some content because
working on it.
Bye, folks.
bye, folks.
Wade and Carter Show is a paid program, and KHNC assumes no responsibility for its content. And the Wade and Carter Show.
I had fun last night. I got to do the, I did like the play-by-play or whatever,
Please drive safely.
Industrial versus Ganado Little League All-Star rubber match.
That's why you're in the press box.
Oh yeah, that was fun. T-Lad enjoyed that.
She enjoyed it.
She brought over some